In this video, we're talking about the Flagstaff Justice Court. The Flagstaff Justice Court is a misdemeanor court in Coconino County in Arizona. We see a lot of people charged with crimes here. So today, we'll tell you a little bit more about the court's jurisdiction. We'll tell you about the prosecutors who are in charge of prosecuting crimes here. We'll tell you a little bit more about the judges who are involved. So let's take a look and dive in. So first of all, when we're talking about Flagstaff, we want to be very sure we're understanding the court's jurisdiction. And by jurisdiction, I mean what area of land does this court have power over, and what area of land does it not? So this is important because if you're cited with a crime, charged with a crime, a criminal speeding, a DUI, or some other criminal traffic offense, and you're cited into Flagstaff, but your crime actually occurred outside geographically of the court's jurisdiction, your case is ripe for an easy dismissal because the court doesn't have power over land outside of its jurisdiction. And Flagstaff's jurisdiction is a little bit jagged. It's not very cut and dry. It's not very clear as to where it covers and where it doesn't. So you want to be sure that you understand what it looks like. And this is it. So you can see here in red or in pink on the camera, this is the court's jurisdiction. This is Flagstaff. And there are some major freeways that run through there. You have the I-17 coming up into Flagstaff. You have going north up until you hit Horseshoe Bend or the Page area. And then you have the I-40, which runs right through it. The I-40 is a major interstate that travels all across the United States. And so people will come all the way from New Mexico, all the way through Arizona to get over to California, to go over to Vegas. And a lot of people are residing in Flagstaff, a lot of NAU students, a lot of people pass through this court's jurisdiction to go north to visit the Grand Canyon, to go up to Page, to Horseshoe Bend, or just to cut across to visit the Grand Canyon. So basically anything in northern Arizona, you're probably going to be passing through Flagstaff, which is why we see so many criminal traffic offenses. Now this area is governed by DPS or patrolled by DPS, the Department of Public Safety, as well as by the Coconino County Sheriff's officers. And so we see predominantly the most number of crimes that we see here are related to traffic. They're related to criminal speeding, reckless driving. We see a lot of commercial trucking violations, logbook violations, and things of that nature. So it's something where there's a high volume of people passing through, and so most of the offenses, even DUIs, are related to traffic. So let's say, for example, you're cited with one of those crimes. The officer will file your charges, and then it's going to be picked up by the county attorneys. So the Coconino County Attorney's Office, they are the ones who are responsible for representing the government. They are the ones prosecuting all of the crimes out of Flagstaff. And Coconino County, it's fairly big. It's sort of in the middle of the size of the counties that we have here in Arizona. And so what they do is they operate more on a policy basis, which means if they look at your case and you're over or you're outside of their policy, they will not reduce or dismiss your charges. And that's predominantly what we see. If the police are writing you a ticket, it's probably because you're outside of a policy. Otherwise, they would have given you a reduction on the side of the road. But they most often just don't. They'll write you a ticket for criminal speeding or reckless driving or DUIs or some other traffic-related offense, and it will be outside of their policy. So people will think that they can just call the prosecutor's office or go into court and get their case dropped down, get it reduced, get it dismissed because of the fact that it's, for them, a first-time offense, or because they think in their minds it's minor. Maybe their home state doesn't have criminal speeding, and so they'll think, well, this shouldn't be a big deal. Unfortunately, it is, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that when we get to the judge, but anything in criminal speeding, anything that's criminal traffic in Arizona often carries pretty severe consequences. It's a criminal offense, and many of them have a high number of points, like reckless driving has 8 points, the same number of points as a DUI. So it's not something to play around with, and the prosecutor's office just predominantly just doesn't automatically reduce those down. So the reason why I point that out is because it's important you understand that if you think you're going to go in and get it automatically reduced, almost never happens. That is why it's important to bring a defense attorney on board, because that's what we help do. We are able to identify areas where the police may have missed something, may have screwed something up, file motions, conduct our interviews in order to get the prosecutor's office to deviate down to give us a better deal that you may not be able to get otherwise. Now let's talk about the judges. So there's prosecutors who were involved, but if you're also representing yourself, which is not advised, but if you are, you're going to be dealing with one of these two judges predominantly. You're going to be dealing with Joshua Steinlage or Howard Grodman, and these two judges are both attorneys. They've both practiced law in Arizona. Judge Steinlage was somebody who practiced criminal law, and he did business ethics and taught law for a certain period of time. And then Judge Grodman was somebody who practiced law for 27 years. He had family law and civil law type of practice where he focused on those different things. Now, both these judges, we like when they are licensed attorneys. It's kind of unusual to have licensed attorneys in justice courts. Most of the justice courts in Arizona, in our experience, have judges that are not licensed lawyers. So they never went to law school, they never passed a bar exam, they just ran for office and got elected. So we're a little bit fortunate here in Flagstaff to have two judges that did pass the bar and did become licensed attorneys, which means they have a little bit more legal training, which is good from a defense perspective. That means they can understand and interpret our arguments a little bit better than some of the other judges who may not. And in our experience, both these judges are fairly reasonable. We actually don't have a lot of face-to-face interaction with these judges. Most everything out of Flagstaff is done telephonically or by written plea, by written paperwork, by written motion, and they don't do a whole lot of stuff over the phone. They basically just want it all in writing. They want it formalized, documented, and then they will go ahead and enter it on the record. Now, if you're dealing with Flagstaff on your own, do not be surprised if it's very difficult for you to get a hold of anybody. People will call the court and call the court and call the court, and it basically just goes to voicemail. You leave a message, the court staff will get back to you when they have availability to do so. Sometimes it can take a long time. They get back to us pretty quickly. The staff there is very reasonable. We actually enjoy working with this court, but it's just not an easy court to communicate with, which is why they prefer to have things done in writing. So just a heads up, if you're expecting a quick answer, like you're going to call the court and you're going to talk to somebody, you very likely will not. You're going to be leaving a message and be waiting for a call back. So just something to prepare for if you're coming up on a hard deadline and you think you're going to call the court the day before your court date. It's very unlikely that you're going to get a response. So you want to be proactive and plan ahead. So if you don't want to deal with any of that, if you'd like us to help you through it so that we can help make sure we can make your criminal charges go away or get you the best outcome possible, give us a call. We offer free case evaluations. We help a lot of people out of Flagstaff all of the time. We have an office in Prescott and we practice out of this jurisdiction very, very frequently. We know the DPS officers who cite people. We know the prosecutors who are assigned to this court. We know the judges. So with our experience, we'll be able to help you through it and get the best outcome possible. We offer free case evaluations, which means you have nothing to lose for having just a quick initial conversation with us. We'll be able to give you our thoughts and give you the best details on a good strategy for you to move forward so that we can help put this all behind you. So give us a call. We look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks for watching.